Over and over again in the Bible, we're told to wait upon the Lord. When you don't understand, don't be unwilling to wait. I was speaking about preachers. Another preacher said to me, who was in a hard spot, he said, I know that God put me here. I just wonder if he remembers where he put me. God knows where you are. The very hairs of your head are numbered. And the God that was with Joseph when he was a lad, the God who was with Joseph when he was serving in Potiphar's house, was the God who was with Joseph when he languished there, forgotten in prison. Another good scripture that I found, 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 6, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. God has his schedule. When you don't understand, don't demand to understand. Don't fail to be faithful. Don't bow to bitterness. Friend, don't be unwilling to wait. God is never late, but he's never ahead of time. The scripture that I read to you from Psalm 37 says that he will bring forth your righteousness as the noonday. It's like the sun coming up. One thing about the sun coming up is you can't hurry it and you can't stop it. And that's the way God is. God is always on time. One time I was visiting with Senator Jesse Helms. Senator Jesse Helms said, Adrian, I want to tell you a story that Alexander Solzhenitsyn told me. Alexander Solzhenitsyn was that brilliant Russian literary genius and dissident. Many of you have read after Alexander Solzhenitsyn, a brilliant and a godly man. But because he was a dissident, when communism was so powerful, he was put into a prison camp. Later he was released, and he told Senator Helms this story, and Senator Helms told it to me. Solzhenitsyn said to Helms, I hope you never know what real repression is. He told about how he was put into this labor camp, and they took from him all books, all writing material. There was no radio. There was no television. There was no input from the outside world, and the prisoners themselves were not allowed to communicate one with another. All day long, laborious, back-breaking labor, with Russian guards standing there, armed and ready to shoot anyone who tried to escape. Solzhenitsyn said this went on day after day after day. I wondered if anybody even knew that I was here. Much less did they care. He said, finally I decided that I would end my life. But he said, my faith would not allow me to do that. I knew it would be wrong for me to take my own life. But he said, my mind then became twisted and perverted. He said, I had the idea that perhaps if I would try to escape, then they would shoot me. And I would not have taken my own life. They would have killed me. He said, I know that was wrong, but my mind was twisted. He said, I found the day that I was going to do it. I was sitting under a tree. They'd given us a few moments from the work. I was sitting in the shade of the tree. I saw the Russian guard with his gun. He said, I was ready to spring up. I'd almost put my hands on the ground, ready to spring up and run, to be shot in the back. When he said, another man, a man that I'd never seen before, and perhaps I will never see again, perhaps was an angel, I don't know. But he came and stood in front of me. Remember, we were not allowed to communicate, not even to talk. But he looked into my eyes with a look of compassion and understanding, though not able to say a word. And he said he had a stick in his hand, a twig, and in front of me on the ground, he drew a cross and walked away. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said, I knew that that was a message from God, and what I was about to do was wrong. And I settled back down. He said, little did I know that all over the world people were talking about me, and in 3 days I would be a free man in Switzerland. In 3 days. Wait on God. Don't be unwilling to wait. Humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God. In due time, He'll lift you up.